Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You are now tuned into the cut.
Cutting and scratching.
Cut.
My cut is correct.
Each cut is totally arranged.
Why chillin' the cut.
Let me do my work. Let me do my job. Uncle Catfish here on the cut. DJ Ivy. Ivy, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling excellent today.
It's good to be in the cut, on the cut, and feeling it right now. Ivy, can you just kill that? We gotta get the people the cut. Mr. Guest. It's Chanhays, people.
What's going on?
Chanhays is here. I just want to mention before we get any further, Chan.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, I want to read you something about yourself, see how you
gosh.
react, okay?
Oh, no.
First of all, where'd you come up with the name Focus Aside?
Man. Well,
because you were a staple of the scene in the early 2000s.
I was around.
No, man, you was around.
I was around.
This is the thing. When people do the research on Chanhays, they
you were heavily supporting.
Yeah,
heavily.
You know what? I was all about it, man. Yeah, I was
What about TZ Hayes?
I was a solid fan. Man, you're going deep into the archives, alleyfamous.com right now.
He gets you right off the jump.
Yeah.
Talk to me about TZ Hayes.
It's
Take
all
us
related.
back.
Okay. So TZ Hayes is a...
Give us a time and place, a flavor.
All right, okay.
A smell.
So it would be about 2001, no, 2002, 2003. I was working at the Ultramar at the bottom of where the 102 highway used to hit. I think they called it Joe Howe at the time. Now they probably call it Dutch Village. You know that Ultramar?
I do.
Oh,
Where you
right
come
on the
down.
corner, yeah.
And I worked there with James Donnelly. Shout out to James Donnelly and Taz Records. And I was there and I was trying to come up with a moniker. I was beat making at the time. You know, this was years before anything actually came out. But I was trying to find a name, and it's kind of a malpropism on TCH, which is my initials. So TCH became TZ Hayes, and this was before Yeezy.
Malpropism?
Yeah.
Man. For people like me and some of the if I don't understand it, they don't understand it. So
that's when you mispronounce something.
What's a malpropism?
It was like and now ironically I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, but it was a common comedic device in theater where something would be accidentally mispronounced for comedic effect.
Okay.
So people's names or things like that, where one person would be trying to say something like, and then they'll accidentally say something else, and it's funny. So TCH became TZ Hayes, and that was a thing for a while. And then eventually I sort of tired of it. And when it came time to do the Something Good project, I don't know, man. It is so hard trying to come up with a name. And then I was just putting words together in combination. So I came up with Focus Aside. And that was a thing for a while. But then coming back, I always had this weird thing where I didn't feel super comfortable when people would meet me and they would be like, hey, this is Focus Aside. And I'd be like, actually, you can just call me Chandler. Because that's my name. So I was always jealous of those guys who had a name that was kind of like their own name.
Right.
Because then you could just call them their own name.
Are you named after a fairly famous person?
Yeah. So my
Do you think that feeling of needing to get your own name maybe stems from that?
Maybe, man. Now you're getting really deep into my.
We're only in minute 5.
I know. No, I mean a lot of people don't get that reference either. That's
who are you named after?
Thomas Chandler Halliburton.
Who is Thomas Chandler Halliburton?
So he is from Windsor, 19th century author. Was kind of
kind of famous.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He was like Mark Twain before Mark Twain.
Oh, the OG Twain.
Yeah.
Are you related to this?
We are. I got to remember this here because we have a family historian. And he kind of told me, I think we are second.
And they're a huge hip-hop fan, right?
Yeah, huge hip-hop head.
Well, I can watch the show for sure.
I think second cousins,
really?
5 times removed. So basically, if you go back a long enough time, my grandfather's line and then his side of the family, at some point, those two were cousins or something like that. But
okay.
So Thomas Chandler Halliburton was at one point mayor of Windsor, judge in Windsor.
Shout out to Windsor.
Owned everything in Windsor. And... so he wrote the stories of Sam Slick, He also has a lot of what are called, I think they call them.
That's actually who Slick Rick based his whole career off.
I
It all
honestly-
comes
I was
full
like-
circle. It all
Yeah,
comes
there you
full
go,
circle.
man. There
So
you go.
You got tired of people just saying, you would say to them, call me Chandler. And then that just led to what? To Chanhays?
That led to Chanhays. Like, it was kind of a combination of TZ Hayes and Chanhays. And I'm like, man, this is perfect. People can just call me Chan. And I tell you, everyone's like, yo, what's up, Hayes? And I'm like, oh, didn't quite work, right? But that's how names are.
Yeah.
You can't really pick them.
I really can't go much further before asking, like, I feel like it's the elephant in the room. Like, what's up with these shades?
What's up, the shades?
Are
Man,
you in
nothing.
like,
Just
are you in like witness protection or something?
no, man. Just I don't know, man. They just are what they are. I have a lot of different hats that I wear in life, and
That's a nice
when I'm
hat you have on
Chanhays,
right
I'm
now.
kind of doing my Chanhays thing, and this is just it.
Do you have other
Black bar.
Do you have other glasses that you wear? Like, do you need to wear glasses like to drive?
Like, are these corrective lenses here?
Not necessarily these ones, but like
No,
Just-
man. Perfect
just
2020. And I always
answer the question.
always wanted to have glasses, man. Shout out to all the people who have glasses. You don't know
man,
how
it's-
lucky you are.
I don't know if I think we do.
Like, I always wanted to have glasses. I think
Okay.
it's an extra way to accessorize. And
Shout out to Ghetto Socks.
shout out to Ghetto Socks. Actually, like,
He's so far ahead of that hole.
But did
Yeah,
you ever
man.
really want glasses though?
No, I don't think you do.
You just wanted lenses
yeah,
or
but-
shade.
That's true. Frames.
Yeah.
That's
Frames.
the
That's all
frames.
you
He
wanted
just
was
wanted
frames.
frames. That's right. Shout out to
Just wanted
frames though too.
yeah, they're doing the real work.
You're just all
They're doing
lens.
the heavy
Yeah.
lifting.
This is all lens.
That's right. I always wanted. Yeah, man. I always wanted glasses, but maybe this is that too.
So
We're really getting into what's going on.
So
with me
the
right now.
identity that you hide behind these
All right.
glasses, the one that we don't get to see, like the non-Chanhays,
Okay.
if they made beats, would they be good?
Probably not, man. Day to day, 9 to 5. Chanhays is lame, man. No, not really. I don't know. I think everyone's one and the same, but I think, if you're only interested in one thing, if you're only kind of doing one thing, you're probably a pretty uninteresting person. So I've got different things I do in my life, and one of them's this whole hip hop thing.
Let me ask you a question that I think is an important question for anyone who's creative and wants to be creative at a high level. That often can come with a cost, different types of costs. There can be the time it takes. There can be a lot of, there can be just the actual physical monetary cost. How do you feel about the equation where people need to find a way to subsidize their work to do it at the level they want to? And then how do you square that where it like takes a lot of work to maybe get the finances you need to do the project? And then how does that square up with getting that project done in the end? Because, you're like sapped at the end of the long days and, you're not in the lab all day because you're working. So
I know.
can you talk to me about being a creative person, being an artist who I think understands I need to fund this to do this at the level I want to do it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's kind of, people are like, well, you just kind of disappeared for 8 years. I'm
Yeah,
like,
where did you
man.
go, man? That's been the question that I've been getting. The word on the street. Ask Chan.
Where's
where
he been
did
at?
you go?
Honestly, so shout out to something good. Like, we were, that for me was kind of the culmination of, like, I was around, like, I'm a big believer in being a fan. And unfortunately, I think hip hop often struggles with the fact that there are just not, every fan wants to be an artist. And any artist kind of refuses to be a fan in the sense that they don't
True.
necessarily support other people. So it was always important to me to be a fan. But at some point, I also wanted to kind of produce something. And so the Something Good project, to me, in a lot of respects, was like kind of almost like bucket list thing. I'm like, all right, what I want to do, like, I want to make a CD. I want to do performances. I want to have that CD, that thing, because it's something, once you completed it, it's out there and you can hold on to it literally and figuratively. We were very fortunate. Like, we toured a bit. We opened for some great groups, and I kind of was like, all right, cool, I did that, and I feel good about it, and it satisfied that itch. But I was also at that age where it was like, all right, I've got to figure out what exactly I'm doing with my life. I had just come back from overseas doing school, and
Whereabouts overseas? What were you
studied-
studying?
I did my master's in literature, culture, and thought at the University of Sussex, which is in Brighton, which
In New Brunswick?
no,
Chan, that's not overseas.
the other.
Shout out to the big stop.
Yeah, shout out to New Brunswick.
How long were you over in Sussex?
It was a condensed master, so I was there about 12 months to the day.
I see.
And which was a great time. And I came back and I connected with Market and Boyle and Y-Rush, and we did this thing because I had these beats kind of like, already assembled, and so we banged that thing out. But then when we finished it and we did our thing, I was like, cool, like for me, that's what I wanted to do. And for the time, I was like, I'm good with that. That's my contribution. That's my, if that was the only thing I would do, then I was good with it. And I needed to kind of establish some other things in my life, like what was going to be my 9 to 5, what was going to be my career, what was going to be my family life, and 8 years later, that was all in place, and I'm really fortunate to be a good place in my life, and I got that itch again, and it started off where I was like, okay,
Can I stop? Let me
Yeah,
interrupt
man,
you for a second. No, let me. No, I love it, but I want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
What was the feeling that gave? Like, how did you have the sense to say, "Hold on, I need to feed myself. I want a certain type of life"? Because I think there's a lot of people who chase their dream, and I'm not saying chase it, like don't chase it, but there's a time to sometimes think about the strategy of how to do that. What made you pull up at that moment and sort of go, hold on? Why not be like, I'm just gonna chase this? And
I don't know.
how did you avoid that trap that so many people fall in?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always sort of been a bit obsessive compulsive. So like when I'm in on something, I'm all in. And sometimes when you just sort of shift things by a tiny little degree, when you start to move, it becomes pretty extreme. So
Right.
I've always sort of separated different things in my life and pursued them full gusto. So, but also there was that sense of like completion, and I was good
Right.
with that. And it was also a big period of change within the scene. Like a lot of those guys that from back then, they kind of moved away or they were doing
Right.
different things.
There was a
and-
sea change at that time.
yeah. So it kind of felt like the time to sort of step away. And I've always been interested in different things. And one of them is, my career and all that sort of stuff. So it was to me, it didn't feel weird to just be like, yeah, I'm good with that now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this for a while.
Right.
I feel like all you guys involved in that kind of did that exact same thing though. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you did it. You came together. You did the group, and then like all you guys have been very successful since that.
Yeah, man, like we were kids growing up at that time in that moment and just having fun with it. And, I think because we were coming from it from a very genuine place, it never got to the point where we felt like we had to make any decisions. It was just like, hey, man, this is fun. This is friends hanging out. This is what we're doing. And now we're on to something else,
Yeah.
right? Like, and yeah, shout out to Something Good, man. I love Something Good.
Yeah, because I mean, the boys are all super successful at what they're doing now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah, absolutely,
and
man.
like,
Crazy.
Yourself included. Like, so it's just crazy that was kind of. It just seems like it was kind of like not a closure, but like, you know what I mean? Like we're good with music right now.
Right.
Like,
Right.
let me go explore that other.
Right.
And
other avenue.
it was easy to dip back into being a fan, right? Like,
Yeah.
I never felt the need to be an artist. Like I'm good being a fan. And I was for a long time, not as much of a fan as I wanted to be because, in that time that we're talking about from 2000, I guess 7, 8 to now, the way you consume music changed a lot. Like we were also right at that
Yeah.
period where things were kind of changing a lot. So being someone who was now arm's length or even a bit more from the music, from the culture, it became hard to keep in touch with the people, the scene locally and abroad, like what was going on. But, again, we were respectively good being fans.
Right.
So that's what I was. I was a arm's length or two fan for 8 years. Unfortunately, didn't get to as many shows as I would have liked.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, got the itch and I'm back and we in the cut.
Back with a fucking
We're,
vengeance,
we're,
too,
def-
man.
we're definitely in the cut. I think that camera, I know since we're not live, I have to like remember that. I think that camera just died or like went out. So
Was it just the screen?
I don't know. It said sleep. I really can't tell. I don't mean to be like weird, but
No,
it would
man.
suck to
It's all right.
not stop and check, you know? Small break, small break, small break. Is it still good?
Yeah, man, you go ahead and cut me off whenever I go on one of my small little essays. Oh, Lance is outside, eh?
Oh shit. Yeah. I'm gonna get him then. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. And then we'll finish more with you. I'm gonna take this IV.
Yeah, I think we're up to like 2009 now.
I'm gonna take this and go get him. And... Yeah, man, I think it's going great though. You're an awesome interviewer. You're like an easy interview because you talk a lot and like
Yeah.
you expand,
It's a
which
bad
is
habit.
great. Right. You're right there. See if I can do this better this time.
Is it dead or you just sometimes you
No,
just
it's
sleep,
just-
I think. That doesn't
yeah.
necessarily mean it's not recording. It might just mean
No,
that
you
the
kind of stopped too. so
Really?
I'm just trying to find sleep mode thing.
got it figured out. Man, this technology stuff, it gives me headaches. You got any big Christmas shows?
No.
No?
No.
I thought you guys would probably be all booked for Christmas and New Year's and all that.
No, he's working on a new album right now.
Yeah.
So
Off season.
yeah, it's kind of just we don't really do much when he's working on new shit.
Makes
He likes
sense.
to be in the zone.
Get caught up with some of the other stuff, the
He
background
likes to-
stuff.
Yeah, like he doesn't like doing shows when he's working on new shit. Like,
Mm.
I don't know, it just takes him out of his creative zone, I guess. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I ain't hating because I know there's always gonna be shows
Yeah.
when the new shit comes, right?
Yeah. And then there's tons for you to do in the meantime.
Oh, fuck, it never stops.
I know, man. That's like all of a sudden, like, oh, I still have to register all my songs for SoCan.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fuck,
Yeah.
gotta do that. And I'm like, all these videos that I'm supposed to be putting out, it's nonstop. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah, it never stops, man. That's one thing I know about this whole shit. It just never stops.
Well, it can stop, but then you're just like, you're done.
Well, then you're stagnant.
Yeah,
You
man.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
You just fucking, like you said, you sit there and you get the itch for it, and it's like, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta do it.
Especially now where everything's shelf life is done, right? Like, even with these, man, you gotta put a new one out. Gotta put a new one out. Gotta put a new one out.
That's why we're trying to film like 2 a week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Lance in the building.
Should I come in?
Aha. What's up, my man?
What's up? How you feeling?
You know, man?
Good.
What's up, big guy?
You got the virtual reality going?
Oh, you know it. You look. I'm seeing you in 3D.
Lance.
Trying.
I'm seeing you in 3D. It's
Really?
crazy, yeah, man.
Sweet.
How was work
I was
today,
gonna
huh?
say he's looking at his
It was
naked.
Oh, you were off, man. It's
Yeah.
weekend. Yeah, good.
it was on the weekend.
Good, man. Good.
Can I get out of this right?
Yeah, you come back here, chill. There's a coach back there. There's a couple chairs off to the side there. The reason why this stopped is because it was out of the memory card. But I deleted last week's off it and looked good.
I'm here to save the game, just like a memory card. No, just stand in the background and look tough, and we just won't mention you. You know what I mean? Like no question, like just don't reference it whatsoever.
Oh, we were
but just
talking. We've
stand
had
there.
many ideas of people like popping out the side, and
No,
like
like you should just get like black sunglasses and just stand there, hard as nails.
just walk in and do something in the desk behind Ivy and just walk back out. I think that's pretty much the shot I had before of you. It'll work.
Good man. I'm a hand talker, so we can cut the hands out.
Okay, we're still recording there. We're good.
Aqua culture. Did you ever fully listen to that beat just to get ahead?
I did. I can't really find it.
What's that?
I can't really get the groove for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right.
Mm.
And
we're back.
We're back. Welcome back to the cut. We're here with DJ IV. As always, your man Uncle Catfish, and this week's guest, Chan motherfucking Hayes. I want to ask you a question. Earlier, you were talking about, from the way I understood it, you'd sort of like, when it comes to creativity, you sort of build that up. You ingest things in a lot of different ways, including like overt periods of saying I'm embracing the fan part, where I can really take music in from that point of view. And then it'll be like I need to release a project, and I kind of, get out that sort of creative sea, if you will. Do you remember the first time that you were like, yeah, hip hop, like I love it, like you're a young kid, or maybe you're not, I don't know, but when was that moment when you were like,
Man,
or a
probably like
song
that
or something?
like because I come from like the production side, right? Like
Sure.
so I listened for the music in the background. It was probably the Reflection Eternal album, which would have been like
yeah.
kind of late, like
When was that,
2000.
Ivy?
It was grade 11 or grade 10 for me, so we're talking 98, 99, something like that.
Right.
So like prior to that, all like me and my buddies, we listened to West Coast rap. So like Dr. Dre was big in the sound. Daz Dillinger.
I was all West Coast.
Yeah, man, I
All
was
West Coast.
all West Coast. And then, even the stuff that I liked on the East Coast, was stuff like Eric Sermon, which has that kind of like G-funk flavor a little bit to it.
True,
So,
true.
I was in that lane. And then honestly, like this is back when there were music videos. I heard The Blast. Like I was watching Much Music, and that joint, Talib Kweli and High Tech, I was like, that's dope. I'm going to buy that album.
Yeah.
And I just bought that album, and that thing is a work of art.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them have been able to live up to it since, to be totally honest with you. But that album,
Shots fired.
no, that's not shots fired.
No,
It's a great
no.
album. Like,
I feel that way about a lot
no,
of
like, man, Nas and Illmatic, Jay-Z and Reasonable
I'm
Doubt.
trying
Like
to
if we're
revive
gonna,
like arguments that never existed from a long time ago.
no, man, like that album is beautiful, from a musical standpoint, and that kind of changed a little bit. Like, okay, that's a different type of production. What's that all about? And then from there, it was natural to go to like Mos Def and Common and that sort of sound. So I guess kind of in that time period. I mean, I was a fan, but it was of different stuff, and I never thought about creating it myself because, I didn't envision myself like making G-funk style beats or anything like that. But then, for whatever reason, this other sound, I was like, man, that's something I would kind of like to get into.
Right.
And then,
When's the first time you remember having a beat where you were like, yeah, this is good?
I don't know, but I definitely would have made it in Acid. Remember, I don't know if Acid's still a thing. Remember
on acid?
When I was on Acid.
Wait
No.
a second.
Sonic Foundry
with
made this
Acid?
program
Yeah, I
called
remember
Acid.
Acid,
Yeah. So like, I was kind of messing around with Fruity Loops, but never really was doing that. And then I probably made a couple joints in Acid and was like, man, these are dope. These are great. And they were probably terrible, right?
Right.
But somewhere in around there, I was like, man, some of these are all right. And then, again, that would have been late 90s and early 2000s.
Right.
And there were just a lot of good people around. Like, shout out to Apt.
Yeah,
Dave was
Dave,
a guy I knew since we were
Plowman.
little kids, and he's a
Apt is
freak.
dope,
Like,
man.
man, he's crazy.
He's a
And then-
beast.
Does he have an
Yeah.
album called Canvas Stripper?
Yeah, that's Apt.
That's
Yeah.
a great album.
He was a prodigy, man.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. And Cal was around, and Cal showed me Reason and gave me a bootleg version of Reason, and that was a game changer because then it really became, sampling. So yeah, just kind of slowly around that time started to gain more confidence with it, and like the music advanced, the technology advanced, that you could put in your 10,000 hours to become an expert in the comfort of your own home, like in your room in your parents' house, and just pounding away hours and hours of sampling stuff. Yeah. And then Primo, I don't know. I think the Townsend brothers put me on to Primo at some point, and I was like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
The game done changed now.
yeah, I was like, what is this?
So my next question is here about you. You'll see if you answer. Can you tell us about your first kiss?
My first kiss. Jeepers.
Just kind of in like getting some trying to understand you.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Pin down a couple corners of this tent.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not. It was definitely.
I mean, you literally have a black bar over your eyes, so it's not like you're gonna.
Yeah. I mean, she was a 10. No, not true. No, man.
Do you support the Iraq War?
Jeepers. No, I don't know if you're serious about that question, but that was definitely another bucket list thing where it's like, all right,
What,
man,
the
I gotta
Iraq
get
War?
this. I get
Oh no,
that too.
Okay. Okay. Coming back.
Coming back around.
So the first kiss.
Yeah, no, it was good. Thanks for asking.
Excellent.
It was definitely, man, I got to get this done because all my friends are having first kisses.
I remember
and
that feeling. I remember that feeling.
It was kind of like first available took it, and then I was like, felt guilty about it because I was like, I don't want to talk to you tomorrow at school. But
It's always
Hey.
awkward when you're young.
It's very awkward.
yeah,
Very
It's always
awkward.
awkward when you're young.
yeah, life's awkward, man.
Yeah.
Look at
Just
him
get-
now. But look at him now.
Look at me now.
Trendsetter.
Wow.
Trendsetter.
Yeah.
Rocking a thick, like a serious serpent around his neck.
That's right.
That thing could eat
Still
a pigeon
stuck in the
for
90s.
lunch.
Actually, that's appropriate 'cause I'm still stuck in the
A
90s.
lot of
man.
people are, man. We all are.
So you take this break.
Yeah.
Well,
Take a break.
before we take the break, what I want to ask you is, see, there's this whole life that you're hiding behind those shades.
No,
But
not at all, man. I'm an open book. What do you want to know?
I want to know how the real estate market can be played better with a knowledge of the hip hop game.
Oh, man. Well, actually,
And to that point, with the knowledge of production,
mhm.
how does one produce a house sale? And I think it's similar.
I think
Maybe it's not.
No, I think the creative process is similar no matter what you're doing, right? Like that's why. I mean, I sell real estate, but the thing I like most about real estate is my properties that I have myself. Like I've got a number of rental properties, and they're all places that I bought and I renovate, and it's a creative process. And that's what I like most about it. People ask me all the time, "What do you like about real estate?" I'm like, man, I like the creative element of it. Listen, if I had all the time in the world, I would go and I would become a master carpenter and I would build stuff. I think that's
Really?
when I see people work with their hands and do that stuff, it blows me away. So I think,
agree.
if you either engage that part of your brain or you don't.
Right.
So, like when I kind of changed lanes from an economics degree to a master's in literature to selling real estate to doing this hip hop thing, everyone's
Right.
like, man, this is so weird. Like what's going on, this split personality. And I don't think it's that different. I think if you're a creative person, you're a creative person, right? Like I don't really differentiate between the two. Now
What
it happens.
What do you see if it's creative about real estate? Because
I would say again from a personal standpoint, like my investment properties, it's obvious what's creative there. Like because I renovate them and I create a space for other people to live in.
Right.
Like I've got nice places that I'm very proud of. In fact, actually, like Sector. Now I can't say his real name.
We ain't throwing no governments up here.
the no government zone.
Yeah, take that out. But my buddy painted up my building. Like one of my buildings has like some crazy pieces of graph art on it, right? Like, I find a creative outlet in that. Now, in terms of, the sales side of it, man, everyone in the world is involved in sales. No matter what you're doing, you're selling yourself, you're selling an idea. It doesn't matter if you have something tangible like real estate or if you're a psychiatrist, right?
Selling
Like,
your likes.
yeah, man, like everyone's selling
Influencing
something.
elections.
But I'm really fortunate, like, this is going to sound like lame and cliched, but it feels good to help people, and I help people do stuff, and it feels good to buy stuff, and it sure feels good to sell stuff. So, man,
Yeah.
I have a great job. Like, I enjoy what I do.
Right.
And every day is different. I couldn't work a 9 to 5. I never will be able to. I never have.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I'm blessed with the day job, and I'm blessed with what it allows me to do.
Because I got a question
Secondary.
from like a member of Sipset that will go unnamed
Okay.
that wants to know: do you play your own music during open houses?
No, but that's. You know what, man? Like when I was doing these open house.
Who do you think asked that? Wanted to know that question. If you had to guess, I already told you it's Sipset.
Man.
I mean, there is like 86 members of Sipset, so
Man, I don't know. Woos.
No Wu-Tang
Woos.
over here.
no,
Yeah, King Woos.
no, we'll let you guess again later.
No, whatever.
Talk to me about. I want to jump cut really to right now.
Yeah.
I want to talk about here,
Okay. Yeah.
Chanhays.
Well,
I want to talk about a particular track. I want
okay.
to zoom in.
Oh, this is gonna be good, man.
I
I've
let
been
you
want-
get started. I was like, and you thought I was gonna pull the trigger. It's like runner's taking marks.
Yeah. Okay.
Get set.
Fire away.
And
Let's
you were
go.
like,
What track?
Oh,
What track?
smoking.
Smoking.
Talk to me about track 2, as I call it.
Okay. So, that was one of actually.
How'd you get guilty?
I got at him, I think, online, and I was like, "Yo, do you want to be on this rap song?" And he's like, "Okay." And we sorted it all out, and then I'm like, "Who do you want to rock with?" And of course,
Interesting.
Fat Cat is his boy. Like they're over in Europe touring right now.
Right.
And Ray as well. They do a bunch of stuff together.
Right.
So he was kind of like, it's like, what about these dudes? I'm like, absolutely, hook it up.
Right.
So he did. And actually, you guys probably don't, actually, maybe you do know this, but I went down to Detroit and we shot a video for that. So there's a video coming up for that, and it's dope.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And actually, I shot that all myself and edited it with Richcraft. Shot it James Ritchie.
Yeah.
We
Nice.
edited that whole thing in part because I was tired of going around these places and having to line up
Right.
people to shoot this. I'm like, nuts to this, man. I'm going down there myself and I'm shooting this whole thing.
Right.
So we did. And yeah, Guilty's good shit, man. Like he's one of
Shout
those
out to
guys where,
Guilty
yeah,
Simpson.
he's one of those guys where, all your experiences with these people are different.
Mm.
And, he's a guy like I can fire a message to and just get a message back of like, hey, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Like, and that's kind of why he would then was also on a track again later. And, without saying too much, there's more material with Guilty Simpson on the way.
Ooh.
Sweet.
I'm a guilty fan.
Man,
How
how
long-
can you not be a fan of Guilty Simpson?
I
Guilty
don't know.
Simpson's the man. And he's
Super
just
nice,
like,
man.
yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
Innocent Sampson is not a fan.
What's that?
Innocent Sampson
Well, no. Oh, pfft.
hates Guilty Simpson.
Yeah, it's like because you're besmirching my name, the good Simpson name.
How long did it take, like from beginning to end, from when the project started to, you
Well,
wrapped it?
Yeah, so
Done.
I would say that in around October of last year, so October 2016, I bought the machine, the Native Instrument machine.
Yeah.
And paid for like the newest version of Reason so I could open all my old files and all that shit. So that was again back in October. And I probably had all of the beats ready by about, man, I don't know, April,
Okay.
May,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
So
As you're making them, are you scratching down? I want so and so on this. I want so and so.
yeah, and to kind of backtrack, like, okay, when I came back to make this album, I was like, all right, I'm gonna rap on this thing
Yeah.
because I was like, all right, what haven't I done? I'm like, I haven't rapped on anything, and every beat maker secretly wants to be a rapper, and most of us are whack as hell, myself included. But we kind of want to rap a bit, so I'm like, I'm gonna make this album. I'm gonna make it for my friends. I'm gonna make it as a fan. I'm going to just rock with people that I used to love back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put this thing out. And I want to get a sampler and do it and blah, blah, blah. So originally I was going to rap on the whole album. And then it just got more and more serious, right? Like, you know, I had a couple verses come in early, and then I had a couple more verses come in, and I was making better beats and stuff, and I was like, And there were a couple verses that put me into rap retirement from an MC standpoint. One was Torre, because he's a beast.
Yeah, he is.
And like,
I thought you meant your own verses.
no, like no, like
Ivy.
like I had this verse recorded for Diamonds,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that sounds all right. And then you play it back to back with Torre, and you're like,
yeah.
shit, I should not be doing this. And then you like try to rock on a track with Sky Zoo, and you're like, this could be a problem moving forward. So, and then I got the Conway verse, and I mean, that's one of the hardest verses you're going to listen to. And I'm like, yeah, man, I can't rock on a track with this guy. So I hung him up there, and that was, you know, the best. You got to stay in your lane sometimes, man. And my lane is to make the music. But anyway, so like I came back, I started this thing that was meant to be fun. It was meant to be small, and then it just kind of grew. Yeah.
Is there any track on there that you could point to where you had somebody in mind, you wound up with somebody else, and it's probably better than you thought it would have come out?
Well, I mean, that's putting the first person on blast, isn't it?
Not really.
Like, I will say.
What's something that came out? Yeah, like you don't have to name who you didn't get, but
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I would say a late edition of Elzai for Running worked out pretty fucking well.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, an interesting one is the Master Ace verse on Here Till Infinity was supposed to be on a different track, and I scrapped the track altogether, and I was like, damn, I have this Master Ace verse that's totally scrapped.
Right.
And then Fester was like, this would kind of sound dope on this other track, which had Nilla and AG, and was one of like the second last beat I made for the whole album was that Here Till Infinity track. And we added Ace to it, and a lot of people approach me and say that that's their joint. They like that track the most, and that was a late one in a lot of respects. Yeah.
The album's called Here, and I'm wondering, you must have had huge reception to this album here locally, you know, on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, people seem to like it.
When's the release party, though?
But what I want to know though
When's
is,
the release party?
in this day and age of the internet being, you know, what it is in terms of exchange between people, do you find that you're getting more pickup outside of like your hometown?
Yeah, man. Like
where are people rocking with this the most?
Man, I had a guy message me last night from Spain, Seville, Spain. He's like, man, album's dope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, Spain's dope. Like, I don't know how we came across it. Like DJ Clips spun 2 joints on it. You know, like I'm getting people from various areas. I don't know. We just have this thing in Canada, and I don't want to like generalize, but even here in Halifax,
Generalize.
like, well, I just mean, I don't know. We don't have the fan support that maybe we should have. And I'm telling you, the talent here warrants it, right? Like there's enough talent here.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. We've always had this trouble of filling venues, coming out to support. And part of the problem is, and we talked about this a little bit off air, that, you know, we've got fans who just want to be artists and artists who refuse to be fans. So there's just not enough, you know, everyone feels that, you know, someone else's shine diminishes from their own, and it's not the case. And then there's the whole thing that a lot of people in Canada are trying to sound like Toronto, right? Which is not to knock that at all. Man, I love that sound. I love Drake and all those guys, but they're trying to do that. And being a Canadian musician is a full-time commitment, not only to the music and the job, but also to the Canadian industry, right? Like you have to be all in on what it means to be a Canadian artist and the back workings.
And that's different than what it would take to pop in the U.S.?
I don't know that it's
like,
necessary.
Is that the insinuation there?
I
would
guess that's what I'm seeing. Like, listen, we're super blessed to have the subsidies that we have here.
Right.
Like, shout out to Music Nova Scotia. I mean, I got some money to launch this project, and it's been fantastic. And I talk to these artists down in the States, and they're like, you get money to make music? That's nuts.
Yeah.
So we're really fortunate that way.
Yeah, they get their mind blown by that.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
we was on tour with Royce and Joe Budden and them, and they were like, "You get money to shoot videos?"
Yeah. And
What?
not anymore. We don't.
Well,
Not anymore. We don't.
This
but
was
yeah,
2009, but
Yeah.
they American artists really do get floored by that. Like
Yeah.
they can't believe it because everything comes from labels or out of pocket. That's-
And we're really fortunate with that. But with that becomes this system whereby, you have to go through certain avenues to do certain things, which isn't true, but you start to feel that way.
Right.
And there are always gatekeepers to every music scene everywhere around in the world, but we have that here in Canada. And I think to be in it, you have to really immerse yourself in it. That just, I think that's awesome. And I love the fact that I'm a Canadian artist doing this thing, but also what happens to a lot of the music I like is stateside. So
I think you did something on this album that really might have just come naturally to you, but it's something that, if we thought about it more consciously, is like to me is the perfect way to help build, the Canadian scene and just make the music you want to. Is I look at this album and all throughout it, there's all kinds of big names, heavy hitters, and there's all kinds of people that are like locally known here, maybe not known beyond that until now. And I think the mixing of those two, where it's appropriate, where it's not elevating or diminishing anyone, but actually putting people and saying, we're as good here as you guys are,
100%,
is so important because it just does it without any need to underline that.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm putting you on the same level, so you must be at the same level. And people hear that. And I think doing that is huge, because if it's entirely local, there's some power to that. But there's also some stagnation that comes with that. It needs that pollination. It needs to broaden and come back in and out. So I think that's, the record's huge for that too.
Yeah, I think anytime
For me,
I have for years been like, man, the best MC in Canada is Ghetto Sox.
Well, I was going to ask you, who's the best MC? Well, let's start there. Who's the best Canadian MC ever?
Ever?
That's a crazy question.
Man, I don't know.
Kish.
Who's laughing back there?
There's nobody back there. Must be the ghost
What did
in
you
the
say,
show.
Ivy?
Kish.
Kish. All around. No.
Man, Shad
Wait a
does.
sec. The Dream Warriors, were they Canadian?
Yeah.
I'd have to say them.
Man, Shad.
Rudy.
Shad's amazing.
You want to talk about guys who like I
What,
didn't put on the
Shadrach
album?
Cabango?
Shad is crazy dope.
Oh, I'm not saying, yeah.
But I don't know that he has a big enough volume to start having that conversation or whatever. But I wanted Shad on the album for sure. It just didn't happen. And I talked to him. It's like, man, time. He's a busy dude. That documentary that he's doing has gotten picked up again, which is the
It's pretty
best.
awesome.
Man,
Yeah.
it is.
It is.
It is
Have you
the-
seen that, Ivy?
I have.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And did you say he got picked up again?
Yeah.
So he's gonna do more?
He's gonna do. I don't know. Man, I'm not supposed to say that. I think
Hey,
that's
man,
a
let
known
us
thing.
know, man.
Yeah. And I think it's gonna be regional. Like I think he might do a West Coast one and stuff
So
like that.
basically, Shad, come
Amazing.
visit us because
Yeah, man.
we're here for you.
Shad's an awesome dude.
Shad
I was.
will be through, man.
Yeah, I was chatting with
I
him
did
at
tour bus
Baptist
tour with
Barbecue.
Shad, man.
Yeah,
We've
Yeah.
been on tour.
yeah. Shad's a dope MC, no question. But for a long time, been like, man, Ghetto Sox is the best MC in Canada. Like everyone's got their own opinion.
Right.
But so for me,
What do you
you know,
love about Ghetto Sox?
I don't know, man. Like that's a loaded question. Like what makes a good MC? Like I think you've got to be.
Answer that question.
Yeah.
You're good at this.
There's
You're good at this.
there's a certain swag.
You're so good at this, I could almost leave.
Get out.
What makes a great MC? Let me tell you. Chanhays University.
Man, if I knew what made a great MC, I would have been a better MC.
No, I don't know.
No.
Though. I think sometimes
Well, that's the thing.
knowing,
Actually, you're
knowing
right.
and doing, they are different things.
Yeah, and that's the intangible element to it. Like, I felt I could write, but I couldn't rap.
Right.
And some guys can rap but can't write.
That's me.
And you need this. There's this element of charisma that you have to have.
Don't have that.
If you're not a likable, charismatic person, you're not going to connect. You have to have bars. You have to have all of those, technical skills, whether or not you're doing them intentionally.
You gotta stand out.
You got to
Who's
stand out,
who's
and you have that.
Who's your favorite new rapper these days?
new rapper?
Or maybe for you, maybe like new beat maker sound, new sound that you dig.
Man, like I really, when I started this album, got on a big Apollo Brown tip because I'm such a Sky Zoo fan, going back to like who are great MCs. Sky Zoo's a monster.
True.
So, when their album came out, I was like, that album is incredible.
Yeah.
And so I was big into Apollo Brown for a while, and being a fan of Primo, like that whole soulful chop sound, I'm big into. So Apollo Brown's has kind of been for me a more recent discovery in that respect. But new rappers, man, I don't know. There's so many good rappers now.
Were you sad when Little Pump passed away?
Little Peep, actually.
Little Peep.
Oh, sorry, Little Pump.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Little Pump. I'm ahead of time.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay, bro.
Didn't know. I don't
Don't
know.
even say that.
Yeah.
Don't even say that guy's name
Who?
on this podcast. No more.
I say.
Lil Pump.
Not
Yeah, no,
Pete.
I don't know who.
You don't feel Joyner Lucas?
Joyner Nucleus is dope. That song that just came out, I'm Not Racist. Yeah, that's crazy.
All his other work.
Yeah,
Mind blowing too.
that's the thing too. Like, I'd be going through, I'm like, man, there's a lot of good music out there. Now you have to go out and find it. Like this whole Griselda crew. I mean, if you listen to the album, you can tell I'm a fan of these Griselda cats. Like, and they've got that thing where it's like, okay, they have that thing that you can't quite put your finger on. Why people are drawn to them in a way that they just resonate. And it's not all just bars. It's not all just punchlines. It has to be some extra element to it. Those guys are dope.
When you're almost done something, whether it's like, one single track or whole project, whatever it is, and you need someone to kind of let you know where is this? Because, we get too close as artists.
Yeah.
You get too close to your project to really see it fully. And you always need someone to kind of be that first listen. Is there someone you go to? Is there like a trusted squad there of like first ears?
I mean, not really. Like I did a lot of this kind of the actual production side of things solo, and then the only people that were hearing it were Fester and Sox, and both of whom could like be professional poker players because they don't really tell you if they're feeling something or not.
Right.
So I'd just be like, "Is it dope? Is it sounding good?" And like, "Yeah, I know it sounds good." I'm like, "Man, I don't know." Like
be more, demonstrative.
Yeah. But that's just kind of how they are, right?
It's a life hack for those guys.
Yeah, like
Be more demonstrative.
I don't know. Like I think you have to slowly get to the point where you just kind of trust yourself and you trust your ear. And I think this album, which went through some other names before we came up with Here, and it kind of all worked out together with the end track Here Till Infinity and blah blah blah. It's very much what I was up to from 2008 2009 until call it last April, to the point that in fact some of the beats on the album, I think 4 of them, are remade beats that were supposed to be on a Something Good album 6 years ago.
Really?
That I remade. And then there are songs that kind of tried to fit different lanes. But going through this, I was like, all right, I'm never going to be able to chop soul beats like Primo or like Apollo Brown. I'm never going to be able to maybe do these crazy minimalist beats like, The Alchemist or Derringer or these guys. I just kind of have to do my own thing and trust when I make something, I'm like, man, that sounds dope. That's what it's going to be, right? So, moving forward, the sound that I've got going on is going to be a little bit different, but I think it's going to be where I'm at and the stuff that I really enjoy.
Speaking of moving forward, so the last time you went to move forward, there was like an 8-year break.
Yeah, this time I'm going to
So
take a full
when you
decade.
say, like, are you back? Or is it like, have you achieved that stability that you spoke of sort of earlier that you originally kind of moved out of the game? Because I don't think you said the word stability, but I think you intimated towards it. Like,
100%,
what kind of life I'm going to have and what's going on. And to me, that sounds like someone who's like, I got to figure a few things out and stabilize in a way. Doesn't seem like that's about to fall away, knock on wood. So, like, are you back? Like, is this...
Yeah, no, I
so
feel
we'd be like
a,
hounding you, like, where's your projects?
Yeah, man. I've got 3 projects that will come out in 2018.
Damn.
Yeah.
3
One of them,
projects.
which is like half done now, it's just a small EP. Another EP that will probably come out April, May-ish, and then a full length that'll come out in this summer. Yeah. and then maybe a couple other small things. So
Can you name an album Isaac for me? Just
can I just name it Isaac?
yeah.
Nah, no. All the titles for the new albums are actually that's not true. I was gonna say all of them are picked out, but
I just think like Isaac by Chanhays is just tight.
that is okay. I see where you're going with that. Yeah,
People
actually,
get confused and be like, "What?
man,
Is
this
this
album,
a Jackie Chan Isaac Hayes?"
this
Whoa.
album was going to be called "Sucker Free from '93 Till Infinity,"
That's
is what it was going to be
That's pretty
called.
great.
And it just that was when I was having fun with the album, and it was going to be this silly thing, and then that theme wasn't really being picked up through the album,
Right.
and it just kind of was like, well, what does that even mean? Like it didn't seem to commemorate the album as much as like Here did, because Here's like, man, Here, blah, because to some degree this
Yeah.
was, I mean, it's a heavy 17 tracks.
Sure.
It's way too long. It's just this albatross.
It's a monster, man.
Yeah, man, it's a long ass album.
I appreciate it. It's needed.
I guess I probably could split it up or whatever, but
Did
You
you
know,
mean to put that many songs on there from the jump?
no,
No.
man, it's just like,
kept
and then I
growing.
made this beat, and I'm like, man, who would sound dope on this? And then the other mistake I made is because coming back from a time where it was like putting out the album was the thing.
Yeah.
I was like, gotta put this album out. And the team was like, man, you should probably just like slowly leak singles and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I gotta put the album out.
Right.
And yeah.
That's that old school head in you.
Yeah, man, right? Like,
You
and the
gotta
problem
feel
is,
the album.
yeah, like I Two Dope Boys was putting out singles, Mass Appeal was putting out singles, Premiere was here, picked up a single, Hip Hop DX picked up a single, and then the album came out, and they're like, yeah, man, you're out there, you're on the internet, so we don't need to pick up your Premiere because you're out there, right?
Right,
So now
right.
they're like videos, and I got some
It's
videos
all
coming out. And stuff.
visual. It's all visual.
Yeah. So what I've learned
As you
now,
can see.
yeah, what I've learned now is like, okay, so the single is the thing. Like I still come from a place of the album. Like I still buy CDs, right? Like I
Right.
need to have that. And artistically, I think it's nice to have a complete package. But going forward, like the next EP that I'm putting out, which is kind of a side project departure thing from what this album was, I'm gonna it's only gonna have 6 tracks, and 3 of them at least will come out as singles, and then I'll be like, yeah, you can get the album, but yeah, it's just it's different. It's a learning experience for sure.
When should we expect that?
I don't know, like it's kind of like I don't want to step on the toes of Here, right? So
Right.
the videos will probably finish up for Here in like end of January or something like that. And then the album, been really fortunate, it's kind of climbing the charts of
Yeah,
college radio.
It's doing really well.
Yeah, so I want to kind of give that its space to breathe. So, we'll probably have it all recorded and done by mid-January at the latest.
Right.
So probably ready in February, but then we'll just sort of wait to put it out. But it's really different. So I don't know what the response will be to it, but
Are we
whatever.
gonna get a release party?
yeah,
getting
God,
there?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, we need to pressure
I
it
seen
into
Billy talking about it the other
I know
day.
Billy was talking about it. He put it out there and I just don't know what I would do at a release party. What's a beat maker do at the release party? Like,
Just
yeah,
hang around and give
I
props.
just press play.
Just hang
No,
around and give
man.
props.
Yeah.
You run the show that night,
That's
man.
right.
That's your show.
And this time of year it's tough, right? Because everyone's busy with stuff. But yeah, maybe in January, maybe I'll bug you and we'll hook something up maybe.
I like it. I got a couple of rapid fires for you from
yeah,
the
okay.
crew. All right.
All right.
All right. First of all, this one comes from Ghetto Socks.
What? All right.
When are you getting the Eric Sermon rug?
Man, so shout outs to Def Rugs.
They're dope as fuck, aren't
yeah,
they?
man.
They
They're
are.
dope as shit.
But when are you getting yours?
I don't know. Good question. That's on my to-do list.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to get me a Christmas present, I mean, Ghetto Socks, if you're going to ask the question, then here you go. Get me a
Okay.
Christmas gift.
No, that's good.
We would also
We're going
like
rapid
Okay, yeah,
fire.
rapid fire.
for the
We'll take
show.
one too with the cut
All right.
logo on it.
Yeah.
Can you break down the Eric Sermon line? If you ain't real, hung, get out my face, y'all.
Man, all right. So that came from Fester. He says, if you ain't real, hun, get out my face, y'all.
Okay. Good breakdown. We already asked you this one. Do you play music at your open houses? So your own music. Your own
No,
music.
no.
Do you play any music?
No, man. I let people do their thing, and I don't serve
Do you
cookies
let
either.
them play music?
If they want to, man.
Okay.
Do you let people film them?
No,
'Cause I-
man, you
I've
can't be
seen
going
a
through
few,
someone's
Would you
like-
house.
start in a Snapchat with somebody?
That's weird.
I've seen a few like New York walkthroughs of expensive condos and stuff.
I will do videos for my clients, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to let a stranger come through and start filming someone else's house. That's just weird, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the number one secret tip that nobody else knows that you do?
About
Selling houses.
selling houses. Sometimes talking less and listening more is key to sales.
I think that was his corporate answer.
That was my B answer.
Yeah.
You're not getting the A answer.
All right, I want to know what's your favorite food at
Giving
a
away the secrets,
Chinese/Vietnamese restaurant and why? And I don't know if it has to be a Chinese/Vietnamese. I might have been like either or.
Yeah, my favorite food.
Or
I
maybe
don't know,
this
man.
person was being a generalizer, and that's rude.
Man, I love I love peanut butter. Peanut butter is my favorite food.
Oh, really? Something
Yeah.
like a peanut butter noodle then? Would that be good?
Yeah, like a Thai
noodle?
peanut. Yeah. I actually
Damn.
had that tonight. Shout out to my wife who cooked that. It was delicious. But yeah, like toasted English muffins with peanut butter is like my Achilles heel.
Really?
Yeah, man, it's good.
With peanut butter, do you ever do butter and peanut butter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost exclusively. No, actually,
What's
I've been,
IV shaking his head about over here?
Can't put butter on peanut butter, man.
No, not on it, under it.
You
Yeah.
can't do that, man.
You can.
you can. Yeah, you definitely can.
I have.
Oh, you can, but it's
Sometimes it's a bit
I'm gonna
much.
do an Instagram story of it for you tonight.
Yeah. You know what? Someone
Stay tuned.
someone on Facebook told me about the whole thing where you split your English muffin with a fork.
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like I was like,
Where
so I was-
have you heathens been living?
I was like, how come I have to cut my pre-cut English muffins?
You don't.
They're like, oh, they're pre-cut. I'm like, no, they're not. I still need a knife to finish the job.
Yeah.
And someone's like, no, use a fork. I'm like, how am I going to saw it with a fork? I'm like, no, you pry it apart. I don't know. This is great television.
do
we
you
got
need
going
two?
here. No, I think you just wedge it in there.
No. You do like you go around and you poke it like
Yeah,
this.
that's true, actually. And then
Yeah.
someone was saying like, oh, you get a better toast that way and you get ridges and stuff. Yeah, right. That's coming into your area, right?
Just so people know.
Yeah.
You were giving some shout outs, like you're starting off with the wife. That's a good move.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Uh,
I feel like, it's maybe people that
shout outs, oh man.
I want to do shout outs in two different ways.
Okay.
Shout outs for the album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you want me to shout out people
Shout out
on the
pe-
album?
Yeah, no, not people on the album.
Let's give you shout outs, respects.
Yeah.
Man, I honestly, this album would not exist if it wasn't for Fester, for Ghetto Socks, and for Evil. Like, it just wouldn't exist.
Right.
Period. It would still be an idea. It would still be sitting on my computer, and it would be, nothing. Right. So, shout outs to them first and foremost. They're a huge part of not only the physical album and what it exists as, but the sound too.
Right.
Right?
Fantastic.
Yeah. And shout out to all the DJs who are playing it, because it's weird, man. You put this thing out here, and you hope people enjoy it. You hope they listen to it. And so anyone who does, wherever they are, I genuinely appreciate them listening to it. It's very surreal to have people listen to something, Yeah.
Is it just on Bandcamp? You got it on iTunes yet?
No, it's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. Go to chanhays.com.
Yeah.
What parking lot are you going to be in, like, this evening or, like, tomorrow evening?
What parking lot am I going to be in?
Like, out the trunk?
Oh, hustling CDs.
Yeah.
Man, I'm an easy guy to find.
iTrunk.
Get at me online.
People don't do that anymore?
I will deliver the CD to you anywhere in HRM.
Oh, shit.
Boom, delivery.
There you go. I will
Oh,
hand
shit.
deliver it to you. But check out
Do you get
chanhays.com.
a free CD if you buy a house?
You know what? Yeah, if you buy a house right now, man, I'll hook you up with the CD.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Exclusive
there you go.
going down.
That's
There
wild.
you go. Yeah, and there's an extra CD here that I brought for you guys, so you guys can
I need
give that out to
I need
whoever.
a 3-bedroom.
3-bedroom, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
3-bedrooms are important, right? Good for resale. You can't have these 2-bedrooms sometimes for resale. That's tough.
Oh, shit.
So 3-bedrooms.
They don't sell good?
It's harder to sell 2-bedroom, right? Because
Well, we got you here.
you need an office, and then if you have a little kid, it's like, we need 3 bedrooms. So having 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bath is kind of always great for resale.
Let me ask you a question here, because some of our listeners may not be in a financial position in their mind to benefit from real estate. How would you say that someone in that mindset, or someone maybe who is, doesn't have a whole lot of cash, how do they begin to become a financial real estate mogul
Well, first of all, you said it yourself.
who also rocks big chains and makes crazy good rap albums?
Man, if you don't have the mindset,
Oh.
it is. I'm a firm believer of if you set your mind to do something, you will find a way.
Okay.
When my wife and I started buying properties, it was like, all right, we're going to buy a property every single year. And that's what we did for the first 5 years. And the plan was then to kind of buy a bigger property. So then we bought an apartment building. I am a believer that if you want to do something, you just do it. That's kind of been
Right.
And that's kind of been my thing. So if anyone wants to do it, they 100% can do it. In terms of actually navigating how to get there, that's probably a different podcast, and it's a long story, but it's 100% doable.
Right.
Because I did it as someone who was, was working a part-time job, just got into commission sales. My wife was a substitute teacher at the time. Like, we weren't exactly any bank's dream client, but with enough effort, we made it work out, and we've been really fortunate. And the same logic applies to the album, man. If you want to do something, you just do it. That's sort of my whole thing. Like, what I'm doing moving forward, I just kind of put it out there. Like, I will get this artist on the album if I choose to do so. Yeah. I just believe that, and I kind of like, I'm going to do whatever I want with the music, period. Because for me, it's fun, and if it stops being fun, I'm not going to do it.
Thank you so much for making what you make.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks for listening. Truly,
it's good to have you. Good to have you back.
It's good to be back, man. It's good to be back.
In late January, you'll be back again to visit and drop the next project.
Back again for the first time.
You set the bar high, though, bro. You set the bar high this time.
Very high.
So
very high.
Well, happy to have contributed some small album to the scene, and
no, it's definitely
more to come.
It's definitely a classic, my man.
Appreciate that. Cool.
Thanks, man.
Respects.
Peace.
All right, we good.
To your brain, you can set my mood to what?
Racketeering, Jack staring, I'm crass, I never had feelings. None of my beats, they have ceilings.
Running for what they told us was only a step away. Took a couple steps, they was begging us to stay. Pharaoh's the master of mastering, his master degrees in mastering.
You can't spell freedom without Edo.
Believing these rappers really trap like believing WrestleMania. No. Split a rapper's lips like labia.